Welcome to the Life 2.0 podcast. I'm Matt Jones, founder of Life 2.0, entrepreneur and author with a passion to help others live their best life. The purpose of this podcast is to serve others and help them to realize their full potential by sharing ideas, concepts, and strategies for their mindset, health, emotions, finances, relationships, spirituality, and more. If you want to be happier, if you want to be more positive and live a life of abundance and prosperity, live without regret, learn what it takes to live a more fulfilling existence, discover your own purpose and passions, that's what we're about. You can listen to our podcast, read our blog, and download free tools and resources at www.life20movement.com. Join the community and upgrade your life today. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today for another Life 2.0 podcast. Today I want to talk to you about being a badass and general badassery, how to live your truest life and to stop caring about what others think about you. If you are a people pleaser, if you find yourself generally frustrated and angry with yourself because you know you're not living your truest life, or you sacrifice what you want in life out of fear of what other people think about you, then you might not be a badass of your own life, and you need to stop now. You need to quit old habits, old ways of thinking, and take charge of your life. And today, I want to talk to you and show you how to become a badass of your own life and start living the life that you deserve today. Okay, here we go. My name is Matt Jones, and this is the Life 2.0 podcast. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. So let's talk about being a badass. You know, this is quite a unique concept that I thought about for a little while. I get a lot of my motivations and ideas from a lot of different places, books, things I listen to. This specific one was actually inspired by another podcast that I was listening to by Vishen Lakhiani, and he has the Mind Valley podcast, and I highly recommend it if you haven't listened to it yet. Mind Valley is doing a lot of amazing things, so I would highly recommend that. I know it's not often that podcasts actually promote other podcasts, but I believe that knowledge is knowledge, and I just really care about you guys getting valuable insights, so make sure you check that out. But after listening to him and him talking about this concept, I thought it was really important for people to really understand. Because I think when we think of somebody like a badass, I think we think of somebody in leather who drives a motorcycle, has a big beard, and curses, right? But, that's not true. We can all be a badass of our own life. This doesn't matter who you are or what you do. You could be the tech guy. You could be the nurse, the politician, the artist, we can all be a badass. And so let's kind of talk about, what this is. I think a lot of people want to take control of their lives. They want to be a badass of their own life, and they want to be in control and just live a great life of their own making. But I don't think many people have, a lot of clue how to do it necessarily, maybe just because they don't really think about it. But, let's begin to figure out what an awesome life is for ourselves, what it entails, and how we can become the master and badass of our own life. So, what is a badass? So, badass, what I think, badass people are rebels. Okay, they're independent people. They're independent thinkers. They don't fall prey to social norms and expectations. They do what they want to do, when they want to do it, with whomever they want to do it. They don't care about the opinions of others. They are just completely free. They don't need anything from anybody else because they are just completely content on their own and happy. They don't need to rely on anyone else for anything. Do they like the company of others? Absolutely. Do they care about other people? Absolutely. Are they in relationships? Absolutely. However, their relationship doesn't define who they are. And if they lost that relationship, they'd be fine and happy on their own. Why? Because they're a badass. So, how do we start to become a badass of our own life? I think the first step to this is to stop being a people pleaser. And if you've never heard this concept before, a people pleaser is someone who has an emotional need to please others constantly, even when it's at the expense of their own needs. It's a constant need to be liked, it's a constant need to have external validation. Okay, and though it may come from a caring place of emotional connection to others, it can lead to serious identity issues, I think. I personally have suffered from this. Many people have. This is why this was such an interesting concept to me, because I think when you learn to stop being a people pleaser, you can really start to accept sort of being a badass in your own way. Really take control of your emotions, your confidence, your values, who you are in the world, and not letting anybody else affect you in your journey. You know, I was the type of kid in school who I got along with everybody, whether they were in sports or they were in theater or in music, or really good at academics. I tend to get along with everybody, and I think I've always viewed myself that way. And times in my life where someone didn't seem to like me, I think there's you know a factor there of confusion, you know, and I think it might even stem from ego in a sense, but I'm not a psychotherapist, so I don't necessarily know. But, just being a kind person has always been important to me. Being nice, what you realize is that, you're not always going to get that back. And that's okay, right? You don't need to be rude to anybody. Okay, you can still be a nice person. However, you can just choose to ignore things, you can choose to let things go better, and you can choose to just be happier by realizing that you're not always going to get back what you put out, right? So, when you learn to let things go, you can control yourself emotionally and mentally. You become a bit more of a badass, all right? You let things just slide. In society, we are raised to be sheep and we learn to please the herd. And when you get older and you realize that you don't care for the herd so much anymore, you start to develop the wisdom to do your own thing. Why? Because it's your life and it's nobody else's. You learn to think, forget about the status quo. I want to be myself and I want to be happy. Being a nice person is valid and you should not walk around being rude, but it's just more important not to take yourself for granted and not let people walk all over you. Okay, so what type of things do badass people do? Well, they do whatever they feel like doing. They're not held back by what others think or do. They they take action and they just go for it when they feel like it. They follow their own path. They say what they mean and they speak their own mind. And they don't bow down to indifference. In fact, they embrace it. They have personal confidence because they know who they are and they know what they like. You know, I think things that aren't very badass are crying, complaining, saying life is unfair, moaning about other people, looking at life half empty, just being a dick for no reason, having no emotional control and lashing out, losing your temper, or being a superficial, egotistical prick. Ego tends to come from an attachment to power. And being a badass, I think, is being completely autonomous to attachments. Therefore, power is not important. It is not a factor. You got to say, forget the power, forget the ego. There's integrity in being a badass. You can ignore the haters, losers, pessimists, and people who just bring nothing but negativity to your life. You just need to let those losers go. And that's being a badass. You're letting things just roll off you and you're following your path and your journey. You know? And this might seem a bit abrasive, but when it comes down to life, happiness, contentment, think of all the time that we spend in complete misery because of what so and so said about me or what so and so thought about me. Did I shake their hand the right way? Did I say that wrong thing? It's like we just spend all this time in our heads just completely taking us off our path. And it gives us stress and anxiety. And it doesn't get us any closer to our goals. It doesn't get us any closer to happiness. So being a badass is learning to let all these things just slide away and being able to be more content. Be a badass for yourself. Be a badass for your family. Be a badass at your job. Okay, so let's talk about how we can stop caring about what other people think about us. But first, just a short commercial break. Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. It means everything to me. I hope you're getting good value out of it and applying it to your life. I did want to remind you that I just released a book. It's called The Manifestation Bible, the ultimate law of attraction guide for your life and desires. If you want to know more about how to improve your life on many levels, attract your goals and desires, discover your passion and purpose, and live the life that you were meant to, then I highly recommend picking it up. It's available on Amazon as a Kindle version or paperback. You don't need a Kindle. You can use the free Kindle app to read the book. And if you enjoy it, please leave a nice review, and it would help me to spread my message even more. Right now, there is a discounted promotion price going on, so it's pretty cheap. Anyways, I want to thank you for listening. Okay, so let's talk about how to stop caring about what other people think about us. There are many things we can do. I think the first important thing is to accept ourselves wholly and completely. You know, we are imperfect people. We have flaws, right? Who cares? All right? When you learn to accept the idea that you're not perfect, you can sort of let yourself relax a little bit. No one's perfect. We all have flaws. We all make mistakes. So who cares? All right? Let it go. Let go of your past. All right? Be yourself today, the person you want to be. All right? So accept yourself wholly and completely. When we learn to let go of attachment towards social approval, we can begin to live our truest life. All right? So I have 4 ways here that we can do this. The first one is love yourself. You have to love and accept yourself, value yourself, value your life. You are important, and you do deserve to be heard and seen. Number 2, know your values. You want to know your top core values, and they will help keep you centered as you move into taking more control of your life. So if compassion, for example, is a priority to you, you should always show compassion no matter what. If you value decency and being a decent person, you stand up for it. If you see someone who is not being treated decently, you stand up for them. That is being a badass. Number 3, know that you have flaws and accept them. As I've already mentioned, no one is perfect, and perfectionism is a symptom of ego. Let your ego go, and you truly accept being a badass. You stand up for yourself, yet you're still always ready and willing to accept when you are wrong. Number 4, follow your passion and dreams. So, badass people have a vision. Badass people live life on their own terms. They go for it. They don't listen to what other people think they should do or shouldn't do. They follow their own path. They listen to themselves internally. All right, guys. Well, that's the end of this podcast. I want to thank you for listening. I hope that being a badass for your life made a little bit more sense, and I hope that you can take something from this and start applying it to your life today, tomorrow. Wishing you all the best and success. Hey everyone, thank you again for listening to the episode. I really appreciate it. If you did get something out of this, if you got some value out of it, please leave a nice review on iTunes for me. It will really help to get my message out more. And also remember to visit our website at life20movement.com. You can get a lot of free tools and resources there, read the blog, and connect with other people. All right, lots of love. Be a badass. Bye-bye.